Good morning. Ah. Oh well, here you go. Here you go. Hey, good morning. Look here. Want some apple? You want a little apple? We're kind of spoiling her. Here, I'll drop these. Here. Get that off the ground. There you go. There you go. These are my whippoorwill cowpeas. And I only have about 8 foot of them. And they've been growing pretty good. I got a little Ziploc started full of them. But one of my things I do before I just grab one of these cowpeas and pick it is thump it. I always thump it because it gets blurry when it's close up, but because they could be covered with ants. Cowpeas seem to attract aphids a lot of times, and then the aphids and the ants get on there together, and it just becomes a big mess if you just reach up there and grab them. So like right there, you'll see a bunch of ants. And they may or may not be on your cowpea, but I just kind of thump the cowpea. I thump it, and usually, I'll pull it now, and usually that does a great job of just knocking the ants off. And that way, I'm not sitting here going to the next cowpea with ants climbing up my arm, which can happen all the time. Here's one here. I see the ants at the top. I have to focus for a second, but I see the ants at the top. I'm gonna thump the cowpea, and then I'll take it. Is it foolproof? No, because if it's covered with ants, you might not knock them all off. But that's what I do to kind of make sure, as good as I can. See, look at all those ants and aphids up in there. There's a cowpea under there I want to get. So, thump it and grab it, and we'll see. There's another big cowpea back there, and it's got ants crawling all over the place. Thump it, and then grab it. And so far so good. Might be hard to focus on, but so far so good. I don't have any crawling on me. Grab this one, thump it, and pull it. Let me know if y'all thump them at your house, or do you just go, oh no, I'm covered with ants. I just find it's better to thump it. Now, I'm no expert on the whippoorwill cowpeas. Cowpeas are funny because they all seem to have a different color that they'll get before they're like at perfect time to pick them. As you know, I've been planting a lot of zipper cream peas. I've been putting them in all different spots around my yard to keep something growing. I want to keep things growing. Well, they'll start off green like these. They'll start off green like that. And then they'll get fatter and they'll become white. And a lot of times they'll even have a yellow line down them where the zipper is. If you pull the tip of the pea and you start pulling, a little string will come down that yellow line. And then it's real easy to open up that pea and shell them. That's why they're called zipper cream peas, because they kind of have that yellow line that'll zip down it, and it's easy to harvest. That's what to look for with those. When you're doing purple hull peas, it turns purple. It'll go from being green like this, and eventually they'll get full and they'll turn a green and purple, usually a little purple on the top. It'll stay green under the bottom. You can pick at that stage, but ideally, if you're not under any pressure from pests or anything like that, or rain coming, ideally you can let them turn all the way purple. And purple hull peas will turn quick. You can harvest some in the morning and just focus on the purple ones and leave the ones that are purple and green, and by that evening you can go back and harvest again, and all those purple and green ones will have turned purple. But you kind of have to get to know each pea that you plant, because each one is different. Some of them turn a buff color, and have some little striping on them, just different things. I'm not familiar with the whippoorwill cream peas, so I tended to want to wait till they turned a color before I picked them. But what I have found out is they're okay to pick like this as long as they've gotten a good length and they've gotten full. And I was having so much pressure with the aphids and with the ants, and what I was noticing was in this heat, some of them were going from this green and pretty to dried up really, really quick. And I don't mean dried up as in saving seeds. I mean shrunken seeds, no seeds inside in a dried up pod. I went through that last year. I lost a lot of my black-eyed peas and stuff to that last year. So I didn't want to lose these whippoorwills and sit there and watch them in a day dry up on the pod. So what I've been trying to do is come out here every day or so and just pick all that I can that I think are close. These look a lot like the zipper cream peas and stuff when you pick them. They're green, but they have little brown speckles on them, little brown lines, I guess you would say, some veining. And they kind of look like just a speckled climbing pea or something, but they're called whippoorwill peas. So I'm excited to grow them. They're doing okay. I'd like to have planted more row feet so I could have more of them, but I'm taking what I can get at this point in this heat and everything. A lot of people have stopped gardening. A lot of gardens that I ride by when we're out riding, people have abandoned to the weeds, and the weeds are as big as the corn just about. And they've abandoned everything because it's hot and people don't want to go out in it. And I get that. But the few things that I still have growing, I want to, I'm excited about it. I'm appreciative of any harvest I get. And then I've planted a lot of zipper cream peas. And today I'm planting a lot of another seed I was going to tell you about. It's called Taylor Dwarf Horticultural Beans. They may not always be called Taylor Dwarf Horticultural Beans where you live. They might be called other things. I find that they act and they harvest and they look a lot like a cranberry bean. So where you live, you might see my beans as you're watching them grow and as I harvest them, and you might say, well, that's my cranberry bean, that's my October bean. It might be called something different wherever you live. But down here in South Louisiana, at our co-ops, when we buy the seeds and everything, it's called Taylor Dwarf Horticultural Beans. And I was in the store the other day and I was talking to my neighbor, and he said that he's still planting those, and he said they're growing great. And I said, oh, I've been kind of focusing on zipper cream peas. And he was like, oh yeah, I forgot about those. And I said, well, I forgot about the Taylor Dwarf Horticultural Beans. I said, I've got tons of those seeds. I'm gonna go home and put some in. So I'm stopping on the zipper creams now because I've got those everywhere. And I'm starting on the Taylor Dwarf Horticultural Beans. Let me show you what they are. These Taylor Dwarf Horticultural Beans are like a 52 to 68 day bean. They have a couple of week window where they'll put out like a bush bean, but they're beautiful. They taste great. A horticultural bean is different from a snap bean. You can use it as a snap bean if you harvest it very, very, very young. But after that, it's going to make big seeds. The pods are going to become inedible. But that's okay, because really it's not meant to be a snap bean. It's meant to be a green shelling bean that is meant to be cooked in stews and everything. And it's meant to have those beautiful seeds in them. That's what you want to harvest, the big, beautiful seeds. So don't harvest them as snap beans. Harvest them as seeds. This is what the seeds look like. My seeds. They're kind of a brown seed, but they have a little mottling to it, little maroon mottling to the seeds. They're really pretty. And now on here, they're called Dwarf Horticultural Improved Taylor Bush Garden Beans. However you want to call them. Most people around here don't even worry about the dwarf and the Taylor. They just call them horticultural beans. These were $2.95. It's hard to tell on a phone or on a camera how big this package is. But this package probably holds, I don't know, 300 seeds in it. Yeah, this is a half pound. It might be more than that, because the 1 pound packs usually hold about 1,000 to 1,500 depending on the size of the seeds. Probably about 1,000 of this size. So this could be 500 seeds in here. But you see the price, $2.95. I mean, you can't beat that. You just can't beat that with a stick. And these grow good around here. Find out what grows good where you live and go to your co-ops, because a lot of times they'll pretty much try to sell just the kind of seeds that grow good around there. the kind of seeds that a lot of the older farmers are requesting. And this is one of the seeds around here that people request. Now, I don't want to say my neighbor that was mentioning these the other day is an older farmer, because he's probably not, but just a little bit older than I am. But he's been growing these for years and years and years. His wife loves them. She was telling me about them. They just shell them and freeze them just as they are. And then when they're ready to cook them, they take out whatever they need and start cooking them. And you would cook them just like you would a pinto bean or something like that, but fresh. With dried pinto beans, you have to reconstitute them, and they take longer to cook. When you're cooking these fresh beans, if you've frozen them and all, they don't take as long to cook. Can you can these? Yes. Have I canned them? Yes. I have some in my house right now from probably 2020, and they're on my list of the vegetables that I need to rotate out. I did a video a couple of videos ago about juggling the pantry shuffle, and that's part of it, is some of the beans I grew in 2020 that I canned, and I had such a good year that year. That was my best year ever. I loved 2020. Everything just seemed to grow, whatever I planted. And these beans hit the mark, and they did good. And so why have I forgotten about them though? You know, you end up with so many seeds, and I just have that side of me that wants to try new things. So sometimes these old time favorites to me get kicked to the back. Whereas there are a lot of people who only buy these old time favorites and they don't try new things. So we gotta find some kind of middle ground. Or I need to find some kind of middle ground so that I am growing enough of the good solid things every year, but I'm okay to try some of the new things that I like to try. And there again, I'm working landrace seeds. I'm trying to get some landrace seeds started with different things. It's gonna be a slow process because I kind of started my landrace seed experiment at the hottest time of the year, where most things are not wanting to grow right now. Most things, not all things. But I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna keep going, and this spring I'm hitting it also. I have Ziplocs full of mixed sweet corn seeds. I have Ziplocs full of all kind of mixed field corn seeds. And I think next year, if I do try some of that from the get-go, planting it in April or whatever, it's gonna do better than it did with me trying to plant it in July. Some of it's coming up, but not a lot. I only need to get a few cobs, you know, to kind of keep going with it. Just even if a couple of different ones will make cobs and I can save the seeds, that's a start. But I think I'll have a better chance if I plant some of it a little earlier, so it does have the benefit of some of that mild temperate weather of spring rather than trying to jump in there in the middle of summer. But I have just learned with me, if I don't just jump, if I put off, I might forget about it. I might not have that experience of kind of learning about it. So I don't mind trying it now, even if I don't have the best results. There will be another spring, and next spring I will definitely be trying more of my landrace seed mixtures that I've kind of created by just bundling a bunch of the smaller packs that I have and bundling some of these seeds all together. And then we're just gonna see what works the best. We're just gonna put them out there, and I'm gonna see what works the best. I got out here Thursday and mowed. It makes the yard look and feel so good to have it mowed. But what I don't get to mow with my big mower is over here on the other side of the driveway. And that's what I need to do today. All of this little scrabble that kind of grows along the edges here. And then all of this between my ramp and the driveway, I have to push mow. I could get my big mower up in there and do a little bit, and I've done it before, but I also shot out the screen door, the tempered glass that's on my screen door, shot it out. I finally just broke down because I couldn't get anybody up here to give me a price on glass. I broke down the other day and ordered me a door, and it came in, and I'm gonna be putting it up this week. So just get that taken care of. What can you do? Just get another door. I think it was actually gonna end up being the same price, and this door has a better locking system on it. The other door had a kind of a cheap locking system that wasn't working real well. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise. I didn't think of it that way at the time, but maybe it was. But it's hard to tell on camera, but all of this is scrabble. You know, I've got to get and push mow this real quick. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna be a sweaty mess when it's over with because it's already hot and it's not even 10:30 around here. It's already hot. But I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to focus on the good things. The good things. I'm trying to not focus on this heat. I don't want to give the heat any more credit than it has to get. I'm trying to focus on the good things. Look at these Sea Island cowpeas. I showed them to you in the last video, and they've grown even more. And they haven't even started blooming yet, which means they haven't started setting pods yet. So I'm not sure how much bigger they're going to get. But look, they are so healthy. These are cowpeas. Look how healthy they are. My melon de Castillas are just a running. They're just running. I still don't really have any melons, but I do have some blooms and stuff. And I just feel like they're coming. Oh, I forgot there's another third runner of that melon going across there. So we're gonna see what happens with that. And let me show you real quick. I'm finally getting some cowpeas. I may have had one the other day when I filmed, but now I have 3. I'm getting big. Well, they're tiny for what they're gonna be, but to me, you know, they're coming on there and they're doing good. I just love it. I'm so excited about it. This here is the first one that I had, and it's starting to get some length to it there. So I'm trying to focus on what I do have, on what's doing good, and I'm trying to not worry too much about things I can't control. A lot of the zipper cream peas that I planted are coming up. I planted some there, and along this side, on the other side of the peppers, and on both sides they're coming up. I also planted zipper cream peas in my former little corn patch where I had my blue jade corn, and look at all of them coming up there. Today is July 30th, so I'm showing that there is something that will come up and start growing into July. So it's better than this dirt sitting here bare, so I'm happy about that. And I also planted some on either side of my little statue here, and they're coming up there. This is where I had the French sorrel, but it died down in this heat. It didn't like the heat down here. So I planted zipper cream peas. So they're all coming up there. I also mentioned to you that I planted them along the end of my trailer where my cherry tomatoes used to be. And those are coming up and getting pretty tall. So those are doing good. I keep waiting on them to falter or for me to walk out there and they're turning yellow for lack of nutrients and all, but so far so good. They're green and they're growing. I said I want to focus on the good, but I do want to mention something. This is the bed all along my ramp. It's where I grew all those beautiful English peas that did so good, and then I planted the scarlet runner beans. They did so. They were pretty and pretty red flowers. Didn't hardly make any beans though. But now I planted, very hard to see because there's a lot of these little oak trees that come up everywhere, these little acorn oak trees. They come up everywhere, but right there is a bean coming up. I've got only about 4 more of them. There's another one. And as you go down, there's about 3 more. That's terrible because I planted about 70 something seeds of these yard-long beans. They're supposed to need a little support and climb, and then they're supposed to make, you know, a green bean that's a foot long or more, maybe up to 3 feet long, I think the beans can get. I was excited to grow them here because I have all this string here from my scarlet runner beans and my English peas, so I thought, well, I'll just utilize that. Well, the germination was horrible. About 5 beans came up out of all those that I planted, and that's terrible. But it's a pattern that I'm seeing, and sometimes you have to live and learn. I was excited to order a lot of seeds, different varieties from Clemson University, but I've had trouble with the germination from them, and I've recommended on my channel, I've told you which ones that I planted from them, and put the links and everything for ordering. It's a heirloom seed collection page that they have on the websites, and you can go to. And I'm not saying don't order from them. I'm just saying I've had some trouble with the germination on all of them. So I've had 2 successes, my colored willow leaf lima beans and my lynch lima beans. Both of those germinated well. The lima beans were beautiful, and I put them up in jars. But I've had more that have not germinated. The Texas Longhorn field peas that I told you about the other day that I planted over here, I had zero germination, zero. And you can't save seeds if you don't even get 1 or 2 plants. I planted some called Janie Forrester field peas, and they did say on the website that those had bad germination. But I planted 43 seeds, and I got 2 plants that have come up after a month. Well, that's more than bad germination. That's next to no germination. When I do, or if I do, and I'm hoping, you know, that since these 2 showed that they're a little strong and they came up, I'm hoping that I can save seeds off of those plants, and that because they survived down here and they grew down here in Louisiana, which South Carolina has a lot of the same climate, so that shouldn't really be a big difference or anything in the climate growing. But I'm hoping that since they did pull through and they survived, and I'm hoping they'll set pods, I'm just going to dedicate those plants to save seeds. I'm not going to worry about harvesting to try to eat anything. Just save the seeds. So hoping that since they grew here and I saved seeds, that I can grow them again and they'll do better. The Texas Longhorn, I had zero. Last year I planted some seeds at my old house and got zero germination. And I just attributed it to the heat, to maybe my soil. They didn't like my soil. But that was the shanty boat beans and the Patridge head beans. And both of those I was really wanting to try, but because the seeds were beautiful and everything, but they did not come up and they did not grow. Well, now I have these yard-long beans in the lineup of seeds that barely germinated. So I'm going to hold off, I think, ordering from them. I don't know if the seeds are really, really old or something. I don't know if they're not being stored right, or I don't know if maybe, you know, it's a true kind of seed bank where they're taking seeds in from home growers and just trying to preserve these heirloom collections, which I get, but maybe those seeds aren't being stored well, or maybe they're older than they thought from the people they're getting them from, to hopefully save these seeds and not have these varieties go extinct. I'm not sure, but something is kind of wrong with them, and I'm not having a lot of good luck on them. So why keep ordering if you're not having a lot of luck? And I hate to say that, but I'm going to pivot and do something else, and I'll try some other seeds from different places. I've kind of been packaging up a lot of these seeds and just putting them in one Ziploc together, and I'm going to start my land race with a lot of that. So since I've done that, I do have Ziplocs full of seeds right now for that purpose, for that land race purpose. So probably this next year, I'm not really going to be ordering a ton of seeds. I'm probably just going to kind of stick with what I have right now. I have a few varieties that I'll just grow as they are. And then I have a lot of varieties I've combined to kind of try the land race. And so I don't think from anyone I'm going to be ordering a ton of seeds this year. I'll always pick up seeds here and there if I see something interesting. That's just kind of a hobby of mine, and I love it. But I'm not going to make a big point of ordering tons of different varieties off of catalog websites from places far away. I'm going to try to concentrate more on seeds that I'm pretty sure will grow around here. Last night I was sitting in the den and I had a bucket out. When I inventoried my seeds over the last week, and I got that accomplished, check that off my list. It feels good to check things off your list, but I did get my seed inventory finished, and I did earmark things that I think I can plant this fall, or even coming up in August and September, all the way planting things all the way to December, depending on what it is. And I do have a lot of varieties that I want to get in the ground. Just your regular things, your mustard greens, collard greens. I'm going to go ahead and try to stick some kohlrabi, some dwarf SX rape, because it does make a good taproot that helps bust up your soil. I'm going to plant some of those. I'm going to try some cabbages and things, but I'm not really sure. I've never grown them, and I don't know why. I'm kind of I'm assuming that I'm going to have some trouble with cabbages and stuff. I may not. I've just got to jump in at some point. So this year I might just go ahead and jump in. I'm even going to put some onions in the ground, some onion seeds, and see what happens. I don't know. There's all kind of things but it's making me happy. It's making me look forward to gardening. It's making me, I'm sweating sitting here in a chair under my carport. So you can imagine how it's going to be when I get out there and push mow in a minute. But this heat won't last forever. We will get to cooler times. I have been smelling a little bit of fall lately. I've been feeling a little bit of coolness in the mornings that wasn't there before. And I think this humidity is getting pushed back a little bit. I'm not getting overconfident that we're going to fall, because I'm just not. The Gulf is very, very hot right now. We could have a massive hurricane at any time form anywhere. The worst ones that ever hit us, Katrina, Andrew, the worst hurricanes that ever hit us usually form around Florida and are here within a couple of days. So there's not a lot of warning. They have both hit, Andrew, I can't remember exactly what date Andrew hit, but it was in August. And then Katrina hit us on August 29th of 2005. So late August is when we get most of our storms. I think Ida last year, 2 years ago, hit us on August 29th. I think it was the same exact anniversary as Katrina. So late August and into September are kind of the danger zones around here. Historically, over these last couple of decades, that is when our worst hurricanes come. And after Katrina, the heat was oppressive. It's like Katrina blew through and did all of its devastation, and then it just sucked the wind out of the whole state. It was like there was no wind, there was no comfort or relief. It was hot and nobody had electricity, and it was unbearable. So am I sitting here saying, oh, I smell fall coming, oh, it's a little bit cooler, I think we're over it? No, I can't say that where we live. I can't say that. But what I can say is I feel a little bit better about getting out here to work today than I did over the last couple of weeks. Over the last couple of weeks, I had to just give it up and go inside and not come out at all during the middle of the day. Today, I am going to try to get a few things done. I've been busy this week. I'm not busy today, so I'm going to try to utilize this time as best I can, and I'll take breaks when I need to. There's not a whole lot going on though, so I hope you've kind of just enjoyed this little visit and this little check-in this morning. I wish I had something great to show you, but I'm not working on a whole lot right now. Coming up this next week, I'm going to say it out loud so that I motivate myself to actually get it done. Coming up this week, I'm building a little storage rack to keep out here on my carport that will hold my shovels, my broom, my rakes, even some bamboo poles that I use for staking up tomatoes and things, and even a couple of fishing rods if I can work it out to do that. I have a couple of objectives in mind. I need to use up some scrap wood that has been laying on the other side of my house for 6 months now. I need to use up some of that scrap wood. And second of all is I want to kind of keep my carport cleaner than it is. I have poles at the four corners of my carport, and I tend to just lean rakes up against them, lean shovels, lean things up against those posts. So when you drive up, you just see a lot of things there. I have a bucket with all those bamboo posts in it, so then you see that bucket with the bamboo posts. I want to keep them handy so that I can use them and not have to walk all over my property to go find things, but I also kind of want to keep things neat. I was watching Life Done Free's channel a couple of weeks ago, and Tag and B, the people that run the Life Done Free channel, they went to an auction, an Amish auction, and he walked by this handmade rack that the man had built to show off all the shovels and hoes and everything that he was selling. Well, I wasn't looking at the shovels and hoes. I noticed the rack, and it was just done in a simple way. A lot of Amish designs are just simple, and it's like, why haven't I thought of that? So hang on to that. I'm not going to give out the little secrets of it, and I've got to kind of design mine for me. It's not just to it's going to be for multi-purposes. I was thinking to myself the other day, I'm like, you want this rack to do a lot for you, you know, everything but fry you an egg for breakfast. Because I actually also have a battery charger that I want to sit on it. So yeah, I have a lot of purposes I want for this rack. And so I want to put it together, and I want to kind of show it to you. and I'll show you different steps of the building process and just let you know my thoughts. And you might could just take the idea and turn around and do it for yourself at your own house, depending on what you need to store, depending on what your junk load is. My junk load out here is bamboo sticks and gardening utensils and brooms and things like that. So whatever your junk load is, you might could customize it to that. Anyway, that's fun, and it'll give me something to, this will make me get it done. I've spoke it into the universe, and now I need to get it done. So that's how I roll. I have to have things on list. I have to have the motivation to finish things, because sometimes you do want to just roll up the sidewalks and go inside in this heat, and it's hard to make yourself come outside, but I'll try to get it done. Thank y'all so much. I've got to go mow. I want to get my front yard looking good so that my regular mowed part and my push mowed part are kind of growing at the same speed so that they all kind of need remowing at the same time later. I don't like doing things days and days apart to where it all grows cattywampus. So I'm going to go out there and get that done, and then probably go inside for a little while, and then I'll come out this evening, and I've got a lot of planting to do with those Taylor Dwarf horticultural beans and other packets in my house. Thank y'all so much for joining me. This is Lainey at Hilltop Home Place. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.